Sean Kingston, the voice behind Beautiful Girls, just got sentenced to 3.5 years in federal prison. Yes, the same chart-topping star who once ruled the airwaves is now behind bars. But this isn't just about a sentence. This is about a fraud scheme so outrageous it reads like a Hollywood crime script. We're talking fake wire receipts, million-dollar scams, luxury cars, Rolex watches, and even his own mother dragged into the mess. And wait until you hear the chilling text that sealed his fate in court. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, fans, and even skeptics squeezed into every available seat, all waiting to see how the once-beloved hitmaker's story would end. Sean Kingston, dressed in a muted gray suit instead of his usual flashy attire, looked nothing like the confident star who once sang about suicidal. Instead, his head was bowed, his hands clasped, and his eyes wet with tears as the judge prepared to deliver the ruling that would change his life. On August 14, 2025, after months of back and forth between prosecutors and defense attorneys, Kingston finally heard his fate: 3.5 years in federal prison for his role in an elaborate wire fraud scheme. The courtroom went silent as Judge Martinez announced the sentence. Gasps echoed from the backbenches. A pop star known for his global hits now branded as a convicted fraudster. What made the moment even more brutal? Kingston had begged for leniency. His lawyers argued for house arrest, claiming he wasn't a mastermind criminal, but a misguided artist who fell into shady deals. They even highlighted his fragile health, referencing his past medical scares, hoping to sway the court into sympathy. But the judge was unmoved. The request for home confinement was swiftly denied. Why? Because the court couldn't ignore the sheer scale of the fraud. Luxury goods worth hundreds of thousands were taken under false pretenses. Fake wire receipts were used to trick sellers into handing over items without ever being paid. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern, and the judge made it clear celebrity status would not protect him from accountability. When the gavel came down, Kingston reportedly broke down, wiping his face with trembling hands. His mother, who was also on trial and faced her own sentence, sat just feet away, watching her son's career and freedom collapse in real time. One eyewitness described the scene as a surreal fall from grace, like watching a dream shatter in slow motion. The sentencing wasn't just a punishment, it was a statement. The judge wanted the world to know that fraud doesn't get a free pass, even if you've got platinum records on your wall. So how exactly did Sean Kingston, a chart-topping artist with platinum plaques, get tangled up in a scheme straight out of a conman's playbook? According to court documents and investigative reports, it all came down to fake wire transfers and a hunger for luxury, living without footing the bill. Here's how it worked. Kingston and his team, including his mother, would approach high-end sellers and promise payment through wire transfers. They'd show receipts, forged, of course, claiming the money was on the way. By the time the sellers realized the payments never cleared, Kingston was already cruising around in his newly acquired toys. What kind of items are we talking about? Not small purchases. We're talking luxury loot straight out of a music video. A bulletproof Cadillac Escalade SUV worth over $150,000. A 75-inch LED TV that Kingston reportedly had mounted in his mansion. High-end Rolex watches, jewelry dripping in diamonds, designer handbags, and even a $30,000 custom-made bed. Prosecutors painted a picture of systematic deception, Kingston flashing celebrity status to build trust, promising collaborations or shoutouts as part of the deal, and then slipping out once the goods were delivered. One seller told investigators that Kingston dangled the chance of being featured in a future project if they cut him a deal, but the collaboration never came, and neither did the payment. It wasn't just about greed. The evidence shows Kingston used his fame like a shield. Sellers assumed he was good for the money because he was Sean Kingston, a global star who rubbed shoulders with Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, and other big names. But behind the scenes, those flashy purchases were piling up without a cent being paid. The fraud wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a pattern that stretched across multiple states and over several years. Prosecutors claimed that together, Kingston and his mother racked up over $1 million in stolen goods and unpaid luxury items. And every time a seller came knocking for payment, another fake wire receipt would conveniently appear. What sealed Kingston's downfall wasn't just the sheer value of the fraud, it was how brazen it looked. To the court, this wasn't desperation or an accident. This was a calculated lifestyle scam with luxury as the end game. One prosecutor summed it up bluntly. Sean Kingston lived like a superstar, but he paid like a scammer. And when you live off lies, eventually the truth catches up. If the fraud scheme wasn't jaw-dropping enough, the twist that shocked fans worldwide was who Kingston's alleged partner in crime turned out to be. None other than his own mother, Janice Turner. Court filings revealed that this wasn't a solo act. While Kingston played the role of the charming frontman, flashing his fame, signing autographs, and promising collaborations, his mother was the fixer behind the scenes. She allegedly handled the logistics, from sending forged wire transfer documents to smoothing over complaints when sellers started raising red flags. One text message submitted into evidence reportedly showed Kingston telling his mother to make a fake receipt after a seller began pressing for payment. And guess what? Within hours, Janice would allegedly provide just that. A document doctored to look like proof of a legitimate wire transfer. It was a mother-son tag team that prosecutors said turned family loyalty into a criminal enterprise. And while Kingston might have been the face of the scam, Janice's role in keeping the operation running smoothly was key. Without her, the paper trail might have collapsed much sooner. When sentencing came down, the court didn't hold back. Janice Turner was handed a 5-year prison sentence compared to Kingston's 3.5 years. Why the harsher punishment? Prosecutors argued she was the one managing the fraud at scale, helping to orchestrate the scams and conceal their tracks. The contrast was striking. Fans who remembered Sean Kingston singing "Beautiful Girls" back in 2007 were horrified at the idea of him conning sellers for diamond watches. But when they realized it was a family affair, with his mother in on the scheme, the outrage only grew. Social media exploded with disbelief. How do you scam together as a family? This is next-level madness. Others expressed sadness, noting how it showed a toxic cycle where even family bonds got twisted by greed. At the end of the day, the Kingston Turner operation wasn't just a celebrity scandal. It was a story about how fame, family, and fraud collided in the worst way possible. This is the part of the story that feels almost surreal. Just over a decade ago, Sean Kingston was living the dream. With his breakout 2007 hit, "Beautiful Girls," topping charts across the globe, Kingston became a household name. He was young, charismatic, and his music was blasting from every radio station. For millions, he represented the very definition of overnight success. But fast forward to today, and that same artist is being led out of a courtroom in handcuffs. The contrast is heartbreaking, and for fans, it's almost impossible to reconcile. How does someone go from the top of the charts to scamming sellers out of luxury watches and LED TVs? Prosecutors and commentators point to a dangerous mix of fame, entitlement, and financial mismanagement. After his initial success, Kingston struggled to replicate the same hits. Album sales slipped, tours shrank, and industry relevance began to fade. By the mid-2010s, the buzz around his name had all but disappeared. But Kingston kept living like a star. Lavish parties, luxury cars, diamond chains. The spending never slowed, even as the money dried up. This financial pressure, some suggest, pushed him into schemes that promised quick access to the lifestyle he wasn't ready to give up. And when the fraud allegations became public, the irony wasn't lost on anyone. A man once celebrated for uplifting feel-good songs was now infamous for swiping Rolexes and a luxury bed through forged documents. The public reaction was brutal. Fans flooded social media with disbelief and disappointment. From beautiful girls to behind bars, what a fall from grace. Imagine having the world at your feet and throwing it all away for a TV and a fake wire transfer. Tabloids painted him as the cautionary tale of wasted potential. And within the music industry, whispers spread that Kingston's career comeback, something he'd hinted at in recent years, might now be impossible. After all, in an industry that thrives on image and reputation, what label or brand wants to be associated with wire fraud and fake receipts? The story of Sean Kingston is no longer just about music. It's about how quickly the glitter of fame can turn to dust when choices spiral out of control. From platinum records to prison walls, Kingston's downfall is a reminder that celebrity status doesn't shield anyone from accountability. If Kingston's reputation was already hanging by a thread, the evidence prosecutors brought forward ripped it to shreds. The fraud didn't just leave behind angry sellers, it left behind a digital trail so clear that even Kingston's legal team had little room to maneuver. Investigators uncovered text messages between Sean and his mother, Janice Turner, that revealed exactly how the operation ran. One of the most damaging lines was chillingly straightforward: "Make a fake receipt." That short message became the smoking gun. It showed intent, coordination, and knowledge of the scam. This wasn't about confusion or misunderstanding. This was about deliberately creating false documents to trick sellers into believing payments had been wired. The text didn't stop there. Prosecutors also showed messages of remorse, where Kingston hinted at fear of being caught. Screenshots revealed conversations about products that were never paid for, including a $150,000 watch, a luxury bed, and a bulletproof SUV. Sellers testified that they never saw a dime of the promised money. On top of that, financial investigators traced the fake wire transfers, confirming they were never completed. These weren't banking delays or glitches. They were deliberate fakes designed to stall sellers long enough for the goods to change hands. When the evidence was presented in court, even the jurors reportedly looked stunned. It wasn't one slip-up. It was a pattern of fraud carried out over months, leaving a trail of luxury loot and broken trust. One prosecutor put it bluntly during closing arguments: Sean Kingston wanted the lifestyle of a superstar without the means to pay for it. So he resorted to lies, fraud, and theft. With those receipts, screenshots, and testimonies on record, Kingston's defense crumbled, and by the time sentencing came around, it was clear the music star had no way out. From chart-topping stardom to a prison sentence, Sean Kingston's story is one of the most shocking celebrity downfalls in recent memory. In just over a decade, he went from serenading the world with beautiful girls to instructing his mother to make a fake receipt. The evidence was undeniable, the texts damning, and the fraud scheme left too many victims in its wake. Now, with 3.5 years behind bars and his career in tatters, Kingston faces the ultimate question: can he ever come back from this? For fans, it's heartbreaking. For critics, it's justice served. And for the music industry, it's a cautionary tale about how quickly fame can crumble when money and morality collide. But what do you think? Was Kingston simply desperate and reckless, or was this a calculated plan to live a lifestyle he couldn't afford? And when he eventually walks free, do you believe he deserves a second chance in music? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your take. Smash that like button if you found this breakdown eye-opening. Subscribe for more celebrity deep dives and untold stories. And don't forget to share this video with anyone following Kingston's downfall. Because this isn't just about one artist. This is about how fame, fraud, and failure can collide in ways no one saw coming.